Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Bucket Podcast. I am Jimbo of YouTube's The Jimbo Channel. The gentleman over there is Tyler from Metroid's Primed. And we're going to give you your nerd fix for the week because, well, that's what we do here. We got all kinds of epically awesome movie, TV, games, and just general awesomeness to cover this week. It's been a great friggin' week, and we got a lot to cover today. Tyler, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great, buddy. Doing great. Let's go ahead and start off this week by you telling us what games you've been playing.
Well, that's the way we start off every week, so why would we change, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
Okay. I'll change it up this week because I'm normally only playing like one game at a time. I've been playing a lot this week. Playing with a buddy of mine on Xbox Live. Just been introducing him to a bunch of different games that he never played and games that I feel are the gems on the system. Played through Left 4 Dead start to finish, the first one. Even though I played through that probably a dozen times or so. And God, that game has such replay value just because it changes it up every single time with the AI director and everything. I fucking love that game. Far Cry 4. Been continuing to play that, still having an absolute blast. It is so much fun when you have someone to play with in co-op. The big open world, it reminds me a lot of Mercenaries, World in Flames, where the world is your sandbox and a lot of really weird shit happens. Like my infamous truck story from last week, dude, like so many more amazing things have happened since then that are equally awesome and equally random. And the beauty of having the Kinect on Xbox One is I got most of them recorded, so keep an eye on my channel. You're going to see some pretty crazy shit. I started Wolfenstein, which was a recent pickup for me. I'm just barely into it. I'm really liking it so far. I think they've done a really good job with it. It definitely feels like a true Wolfenstein game. I've been playing Dead Island Riptide. Again, played through that one several times. It's just so much fun, man. I really love Deep Silver games. They really take the time to make their games very immersive. And a totally retro and totally random one that is probably going to blow people's minds. I've been on a Doom kick as of late, and I played through the entire Doom 2 campaign with a buddy on Xbox Live. And oh my god, that game is so long. Like, it took us 3 days of playing several hours a day just to get through it, and Jesus Christ, it's hard. I mean, it's like, I forgot how hard that is. I mean, it's really, really tough. But that about does it for me, man. What about you? What have you been up to?
I've been trying to finish up Crimson Skies this week, and the more I play of Crimson Skies, I mean, it really brings back a lot of great memories from playing the Xbox back in the day, and that game has aged really well. I know I talked about this a lot last week, but I mean, it's incredibly, the flight controls are incredibly fluid. The combat is great. It's got a really entertaining story. And definitely, guys, check out Crimson Skies. I know I recommended it last week, but the more I play of it, the more I'm loving it. I really had forgotten how much I like that game because it's probably been 13 years or so since I've played it. So it's been a long time. And also, I've been playing Muramasa. I still haven't finished it. I've been playing more Crimson Skies, but I played a little bit of that, finished a few levels. Been playing Phelios, which is a vertical shooter on the Sega Genesis by Namco, and a really good game. It's a game that I really didn't know about until recently, but you play Apollo, and you're basically rescuing this damsel named Artemis, and it's about 7 levels. You fight bosses like Medusa and some kind of made up mythological creatures, but that's a really good game, and you can get it for a pretty cheap price on eBay. I think I got my copy for maybe like $25. So a really good game. And what I've been spending a majority of this week playing is the Rare Replay. Awesome. And guys, like, I will say this much: it is probably the most well spent $30 you will ever make. It's really a love letter to Rare fans. There's so much packed into this one game. It's kind of set up like you're going to a movie theater, and they take you through history, through all the games they've made. So you start in the early 80s, and you know how like you go to the movie theater and you have like the now showing posters or whatever. Well, they have it set up like that. You kind of go through a gallery, moving from one poster to the next, and
Hmm.
you click on it. It tells you, what year it was made, kind of a brief synopsis. One of the really cool features that I found in this game was that when you're playing, for instance, I was playing Battletoads, and we all know how hard Battletoads is.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's got a really cool feature. So if you like screw up in the game, you can hit your right trigger on your Xbox controller, and actually it rewinds like a VCR in the game. And
Awesome.
so, like, if you jump off a cliff or something, you can rewind it and start back at the point, instead of having to start over at the beginning of the level or whatever. So I thought that
Okay.
was really cool. But I mean, it has a ton of great games. One of the games I never knew about was a game called Saberwolf, which I guess was actually, why the Creature and Killer Instinct's name was Saberwolf. And I had no idea that they had a game called Saberwolf. But it's got
Neither.
it's got some great games, RC Pro-Ams on there, some like old school like computer games that
Mhm.
you probably never played. RC Pro-Am 2, it's got Battletoads Arcade, which I just got done playing, and that is a great game. I'd never played it before. Never played it back in the arcade. It came out in like 94. And one thing that I found really cool when I was reading about the Rare Replay was that it has like 5 games from the Nintendo 64, and right now the Xbox One with this one disc has more Nintendo 64 games on it than the Nintendo Virtual Console has offered. Which to me,
Wow.
there's no excuse for that. Like, Nintendo should definitely have their Nintendo 64 games offered on the Virtual Console. How do you let Xbox offer more, great Nintendo 64 games than the actual company that made the Nintendo 64? And I
Right.
think that's just definitely a ball that Nintendo's dropped on that one. But have you ever played Conker's Bad Fur Day?
I haven't actually. Of course, I've heard of it and I'm familiar with it, but I've never actually played it.
That game alone is worth the whole purchase of the Rare Replay. It has some of the best multiplayer and some of the best platforming of any game out there. And I think that's one of the reasons that game is so expensive to buy, today. But a really cool thing this game also features is you've got like up to 4-player co-op, at your house. And then I think it supports up to like 32 players online, different games and stuff.
Wow.
So, really cool there. I'm really excited for you to get it. I want to play some
Shit, yeah.
Conkers and some other, games on there. I wonder if we can play RC Pro-Am against each other. That'd be really cool.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So, but anyways, there's
I have a question about that actually, since
Right.
you mentioned Conkers in the N64. How, in your opinion, do you feel that they handled the obvious change in controller setup? Because the Xbox One controller compared to the N64 is like night and day difference as far as the way that thing's configured. In your opinion, how did they do?
To me, I played the first level so far. I haven't done the multiplayer yet, but so far it's great. The biggest change you'll see in the game, you won't really notice it that much when you're playing it, but at the very beginning, there's kind of a tutorial where it walks through and it tells you, hit B button or whatever. Well, they've actually changed in the chat bubbles. They've changed, from hitting whatever on the N64 controller to hitting like actual Xbox One, buttons on the keypad. So that's really the biggest thing you'll notice in the game. I mean, as far as gameplay, I honestly haven't really determined anything that was different from the original on the N64. I mean, of course, it's a different controller, but I controlled it just fine. It wasn't awkward at all.
How did they handle the, since I recall a lot of Conkers fans, when they re-released it on the Xbox 360, they kind of pussified kind of bad fur day, and muted a lot of the dirty jokes and things like that. Is that the same thing here, or did they take the gloves off?
No, they this is actually a direct N64 port of the game. It's the exact same thing as in the game. Back on the N64, no changes, and
Okay.
they've got the nice warning when you start the game. For adults only or whatever. So there's definitely
Awesome.
some risque stuff in the game, but definitely a game that everybody needs to try out on there. And another really cool thing with the game is it has like 10,000 gamer score. If you're big on, racking up the achievement points and
Wow.
all that, it has
Holy
10,000 points on it.
shit.
And pretty much everything you're doing on there, when you start a game, you're unlocking points. Like whatever you're doing in the game, you're constantly getting achievements. So that's pretty cool. But also, like when you're playing a game, you get your ticket punched
Hmm.
for each game you play, and then getting different achievements in games. Well, this to me has a lot of replayability because during the game you're getting your ticket punch for playing different games, and it unlocks like the featurettes in the game. So not only have you got all this really cool video game stuff in there, well, you actually are unlocking like documentaries. Like I unlocked one the other day, which was what makes a rare game, and it's all these interviews with the developers,
Hmm.
talking about what makes a rare game and what they put into their games. And there's like cool little documentaries like that, little mini documentaries. And also there's like a making of each video game. They do interviews with the developers, like what they were thinking when they were making each game and all that. So I thought that was really cool. And then as another little replayability thing, they have these kind of mini challenges, and it goes through different games, gives you like separate obstacles or whatever to go through to get your ticket punched or whatever. So, I mean, there's a ton of playability in this. We're talking about weeks and weeks and weeks worth of gaming for $30. So, I can't say enough about it. I mean, it's a great game. Definitely, everybody go pick that up because, it's definitely worth the money.
So, Tyler, while we're talking about Rare, why don't we do something fun here? We're both obviously big fans of Rare. We grew up, I would say, in the when Rare was in its golden age. When they were basically, excuse me, untouchable and unstoppable. Like everything that they put out was just solid gold. Particularly with the N64 and Super Nintendo and everything, man, they were absolutely on fire. So I think we should do our respective top 5 Rare games. The ones that we feel we connect with the most, the ones that we have fondest memories of. By no means is this the definitive top 10 because this is entirely subjective, like everything else on this podcast. But hey, everybody's got a top 5. There's a ton to choose from Rare, so why don't we just both kind of take our best stab at it. So why don't we just throw the ball back and forth, and we'll both start off with our number 5. I'll let you go first.
All right, for number 5, I actually chose Perfect Dark on Nintendo 64.
Good choice.
And that was a great game. And one thing that was really cool that a lot of people might not know is the harder the difficulty you put that game at, it actually kind of transforms the game. So I know in like one level you start off where somebody actually has a hostage and you have to, free the hostage. Well, when you up the difficulty of the game, you actually become the hostage. So there's all these like extra little nuggets that when you up the difficulty in the game, it transforms, it gives you more objectives, and a really good follow-up to GoldenEye 007. So I thought that was a worthy number 5.
I agree. For my number 5, I'm going to go with one that's a bit of an underdog, and that I would venture to guess that a lot of people until this Rare replay came out did not know it was made by Rare, and that would be the first RC Pro-Am game. That was really the first racing game on the NES that I felt really took advantage of the 8-bit era. I mean, Rad Racer's always going to have a special cheesy place in my heart, but that was more of an arcade thing. Like this was a real nuts and bolts zipping around the track with power-ups and upgrades and everything like that. Almost added like an RPG element to it. was just such a great game. You know, I'd play that with my older sister and everything, invite my friends over, and we'd have competitions and everything. Such a absolutely great game, even though it was very, very early on in Rare's career. You know, there's a lot of NES games that a lot of people have no idea that Rare made, like the Nightmare on Elm Street game, first of all. Even though a lot of people would say that's a shitty game, it's kind of a super cool oddity in my opinion, especially for NES collectors, because it has 4-player co-op. You know, as far as I know, that's the only adventure slash horror game ever released on a Nintendo platform that had 4-player cooperative mode, which I just thought was fucking amazing. But that would be my number 5, RC Pro Am. So your number 4?
All right, number 4, I have Donkey Kong Country 2 on the Super Nintendo, and I think that game really took a lot of things that were great from the original Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo and really just added to it, added some cool new things like the coins and stuff in the game. And, you know, I think when you look back at the Super Nintendo, probably some of the best graphics that they got on that system were probably from those Donkey Kong Country games.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got that as a solid number 4 on my list.
Okay, good choice. As coincidence may have it, mine is the original Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
Mainly because of this awesome story that I heard one time where they were interviewing one of the guys from Rare. So, as a lot of people are aware, the first Donkey Kong Country was basically the first 3D rendered game on a Super Nintendo. Like this really pushed the limits of what was capable in the 16-bit era, almost pushing it into N64 territory. Like this thing, you know, I'm amazed the Super Nintendo didn't catch on fire when it was trying to play this game. And I remember seeing this interview with one of the original crew from Rare. There was like 10 original guys, and they were talking about when they were actually building Donkey Kong Country, and because of the the rendering and stuff like that and all this advanced shit that they had to do to make the game, they were talking about their server room, which was responsible for the rendering, was running so hot that the office building was like sitting at 90 degrees. Like their regular like cubicles and shit, the guys were sitting there sweating like programming games because this thing was putting off so much heat that it was like heating the damn building up, you know, to the point where it's amazing the fucking building didn't burn down. And I just thought like, wow, dude, these guys were freaking dedicated. I mean, like that's something that modern game developers and publishers will never have to deal with, you know, because technology has advanced so much and we have, you know, separate standalone air conditioned server rooms and everything to maintain stuff like that. I mean, these guys were like a small little, you know, 10-12 operation man outfit, and they were just, you know, doing the best that they could with what little they had, since there wasn't a huge budget for things like that back then. You know, people weren't spending $60 million on games like they are now. But Donkey Kong Country, a game changer for the Super Nintendo, man. Definitely gave Nintendo the push that it needed to pull away from Sega, you know, as far as game qualities. That set the bar.
All right, at number 3, I have a racing game, and this is a game that I think it's really surprised a lot of people on the Nintendo 64 because everybody was so infatuated with Mario Kart 64 at the time. And when
I think I know what this is.
Diddy Kong Racing came out, you know, I think a lot of people, a lot of their favorite racing games on the 64 swapped to Diddy Kong Racing because this game was so good and it was so polished. And, you know, I think it's a worthy number 3 on my list.
I would agree. I've actually heard a lot of people say that they feel that Mario Kart 64, while it's a good game, is a little overrated compared to Diddy Kong. Like Diddy Kong is the better, more improved, more polished version of Mario Kart.
And it's actually really affordable. Sorry to cut you off. It's really affordable. You can still get it for like $35, $40, you know, complete on eBay. So a really easy pickup for a lot of people out there. So definitely try that out if you haven't played it.
Absolutely. So my number 3 is definitely going to be the elephant in the room. I think this would be the one game that anyone from our generation, when you mention Rare, they're going to, it's fucking synonymous with this one game. This is what made the Nintendo 64 the juggernaut that it was, and that would be GoldenEye 007. You know, probably one of the fondest memories I have, you know, playing multiplayer, you know, 4-player split screen co-op, even though it's so easy to cheat, you know, just look at the other guy's screen. It's so easy to be a punk, and just all the little quirks and cheats and hacks and everything that people can do, like the way they get back up into the vent when you're playing that one level, you just like sit on the toilet, you rotate the stick around, the guy will like go up like a spiral to get back into the vent, and he used to piss people off, who didn't know the trick, like, how the fuck did you get back up there? Things like that, the different game modes, golden gun mode, proximity mines. I remember one time me and my friends, we just got tired of blowing each other up. So we decided to see what was actually possible with proximity or with remote detonator mines. So we had a guy basically stand in front of one of the walls, and we like did like a chalk outline basically with mines around his body. And we were thinking like there would be some type of cutoff point where some of the mines would start to disappear. We got up over 30 mines and it kept going. No game slowdown or anything. I got to tell you, dude, that explosion, probably the top 5 funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. He fucking vanished. Like, it was like, and he was gone. I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah, that's when I think back to stuff like that, it's like, God, what I would give for like a Connect mode back then where I can just be like, N64, record that. It's just such good memories from that game, man. Such a killer freaking game.
And you forgot the one mode slappers only, where you karate chop
dude,
everybody.
I forgot about that. Oh God, that used to make people so angry. Or rocket launchers.
Right.
Golden gun mode, one shot kills and everything. It was so much fun, man. It really was. That's just such a great game.
All right, coming in at number 2, I have the mature audience only Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I knew that was coming in sooner or later.
Probably one of the best multiplayer games ever. This came out my senior year in high school, and after lunch, we all got out of school, and we'd go over to my friend Marshall's house, and we would play this every day. And we'd only play one level, and it was the beach. And I really want to play this with you, Jimbo, because it is so much fun. You can set up bots for the opposing team so we can actually be on the same team. But we played this over and over and over again. Of course, the platforming on it's really solid. It has some of the best kind of winks and nods to movies. It takes from like the Matrix. You play a Matrix level. The end boss is kind of like a Aliens theme to that whole boss battle, so I won't spoil it, but really, really cool game, and some of the more funny lines you'll see in video games, they'll definitely make you laugh out loud. So that comes in at number 2 for me.
Awesome. So my number 2, I'm sure I might get a little hate for this, for not picking a previous incarnation of this game, but I feel that this is the one true adaptation of this game. So I'm going to kind of make this a 2-part kind of thing, since they're basically the same game. So it would basically be Killer Instinct 2 / Killer Instinct Gold. Although technically they are different games, fundamentally they're the same, characters wise and stuff like that. Killer Instinct 2, obviously, since it was the arcade platform, would be the prettier, more technically superior game. But for consoles, the original Killer Instinct should have never been on Super Nintendo. It simply did not have the horsepower it needed to handle that game. Was it okay for the time? Yes, but by the time we got to the N64 and they ported, Killer Instinct Gold to the platform, that was a much more faithful adaptation, almost a 1-to-1. Very, very, very close. Like that, Tyler, for me, was the first generation of consoles I remember where the gap between arcade and consoles was really starting to shrink. I remember the logo on the outside of the Killer Instinct cabinet had the N64, they called it the Ultra 64 back then, logo on it. And by the time they got up, to that, some of the later versions of the console were literally just an N64 modded console inside the cabinet. It wasn't a separate PCB board, which I was like, holy shit, they can run this whole thing with the console. That's amazing. And everything about the original Killer Instinct in the arcade was just represented on Killer Instinct Gold. The over-the-top combos, the freaking music was up to par. The first Killer Instinct SNES one, they had to dumb down the music quite a bit. It just didn't have the memory to be able to handle stuff like that. But this, it had the guitars, that iconic fucking Killer Instinct theme, man, which in my opinion, top 5 video game themes ever. It's just simple freaking hook, but it's in a world where in a world, I'm starting off like the trailer guy, where the market was so flooded with fighting games back then. I mean, you had Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, Mortal Kombat. Like, I mean, the one-on-one fighter kind of thing, Tekken, was like the heyday. And there was almost no room for another one. But dude, Killer Instinct came in and just did their own thing, and Nintendo established themselves as a dominant force, both in console but in arcades, with the ultra combos. I mean, dude, who doesn't love pulling off an ultra combo? It's like, it's better than a fatality. It's like the ultimate fuck you to the guy you're playing. Because, I mean, the guy's getting the shit beat out of him like 50 times over, you go, ultra, at the end. That is so satisfying. And to the same token, I, for one, I'm a huge fan and very satisfied with the newest incarnation of Killer Instinct on Xbox One. I think, all things considered, even though it's not the original Rare team working on, it's kind of like the leftovers, they have done an absolutely amazing job with that. I mean, the graphics, the combos, just everything about it just feels like Killer Instinct, man. I'm so sad that it took them so long to revive this franchise. I've wondered for years. I'm like, Microsoft has Rare. Why the fuck aren't they doing something with Killer Instinct, man? That's like, you have a built-in audience with this game. I mean, Xbox 360, we didn't get shit. I'm like, they've got the technology to do this. Do something with it, And when I heard that it was coming to the Xbox One, I was like, okay, I wanted one before. Now I have to have one. Like, I will buy it to play that fucking game.
I remember how excited you were to get that when it came out.
I love me some Killer Instinct. My only regret is I didn't get one of the arcade sticks. I really should have, because they don't make them anymore, and now their value has doubled. And I'm okay with the controller, but dude, I need a fight stick. I'm easily 75% better when I can use all 4 of my fingers. So Killer Instinct Gold / Killer Instinct 2, solid number 2, on my opinion. It was really hard not to put this one at number 1, man. I was battling on this, but solid number 2.
All right, for number 1, for me is all those nights playing with my brother and his friends playing GoldenEye. We had so much fun, and I remember we were playing like 4-player split screen on like a 13-inch TV a lot of times. And today nobody would do that.
So you had like this much of the screen,
just like a little tiny like stamp size, that you're playing on. But man, we had so much fun playing that back in the day, and that really, I think, was the first big first-person shooter. I think that really jumped off the whole genre of first-person shooters. So,
for consoles at least,
right?
Like everyone was like, "You can't do this on a console," and they're like, "Watch this."
And just the multiplayer of it, like realizing a game can sell just from the multiplayer. And I remember my buddy let me borrow that, and just going through all the levels and trying to beat it in the certain times and all that, and unlocking like paintball mode and golden gun, all the stuff you were talking about earlier. And such a great game.
The extra characters, Jaws, Odd Job, and everything. Like, it was just, was so
and everybody
awesome.
Always hated whoever picked Odd Job, because he was so much shorter than everybody else.
Yeah, he was. And the idiot who picked Jaws, he's like twice as big as a regular character. Such an easy target.
I actually have some honorable mentions. Do you have any that didn't quite make the list, or something you can think of?
The only thing that I can think of, as far as honorable mentions, I mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. That would definitely be one. That's a bit of a hidden gem from Rare. Not a AAA game by any means, but a solid B+. If you have not played on the original Nintendo, guys, and you have a satellite, or you have the regular wired multi-tap, I really recommend this. It's actually a lot of fun to play this with 4 people. It's really immersive, and it's actually not that bad of a game. I mean, it's, is it LJN? Yes, but it's Rare. LJN is just publishing it. Rare made the game. So I honestly think it's a little bit underrated. But aside from that, I'd have to say Battletoads. Okay. I mean, it's one of the classic NES games. It pushed the animation ability of the NES forward, made it almost like cartoonish, as far as beat 'em ups, with the big fist coming out of the screen and shit. It was just, that, in my opinion, was like the beginning of Rare kind of becoming the imaginative company that they are, thinking outside the box to like, how can we make this game prettier? How can we make it more fun? And just putting their wizardry, putting boot to ass as far as making a game kick ass for multiplayer, for co-op, and just overall playability. Battletoads would have to be a solid honorable mention for me.
Okay, good deal. If you love that, you're going to love Battletoads Arcade. So we're
I
going to
can't wait to play it.
yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun playing that for sure.
Hell yeah.
For my honorable mentions, I actually have two: Killer Instinct, and I don't think I can really add anything that Jimbo probably hadn't already said. Killer Instinct Gold. Let me clarify, because
it's the superior version.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going by arcade, I would probably say KI, just because it introduced me to the whole, Killer Instinct franchise, and I have a lot of fun just sitting there. I wasn't ever that great at it when I was a kid, but I remember just watching guys just pull off those ultra combos, just being like, how in the hell did they do that? Just this look of amazement, a little kid, looking up to these guys. But that
awesome.
Banjo-Kazooie, great game.
That's a good one, yeah.
So those are my honorable mentions. And one thing that I thought was really cool, and I want to add this before we move off the rare topic, is also in the game there's actually a featurette that are 4 games that were actually in I don't know if it was just concept stages or if they were actually making them, but 4 games that didn't come to fruition. But one of those games was Cameo 2, and it was going to be kind of a darker take on Cameo, and it didn't quite get past the concept stages. And then the other one that I think is really cool, and I want to say it was supposed to come out on either, I guess it was a 360, and it was another racing game, and it was going to be Fast and Furious.
Huh.
And
nice.
I thought that would have been really cool with all the, different rare characters. Yeah. Like a kart racer, and it just never came to fruition, but I think that would have probably been pretty successful.
Awesome.
But well, I guess we need to move on to movies and TV.
Well,
and
I have to do my number 1 first. I didn't get that.
Oh, I thought that yours was your Killer Instinct was 2 and 1. My bad. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's okay. My number 1, and we've talked about this game before. This seems to be one that Tyler and I have mutual appreciation for. Would be Grab by the Ghoulies. I think that's a very underappreciated original Xbox game and an extremely underappreciated Rare game. For anyone who likes the cartoonish stuff that Rare has done, Banjo, Conquer, Donkey Kong, anything like that, this will speak volumes to you. It's very cool. It's a very pretty game. It's very well animated. And overall, it's a fun game. It's like a zany Scooby-Doo-ish haunted house kind of romp where you're doing all this fun stuff, and they put in all of these really off the cuff but under the radar adult jokes that kids just wouldn't get. Where you're thinking like, is that what they really meant? Just stuff that really makes you scratch your head. And knowing Rare, they're probably just being shady about it and just sneaking one in under the radar. But such a great game, guys. If you've never played it for the original Xbox, it's been on my list for original Xbox Hidden Gems. If you haven't seen my video on that, check it out. I highly recommend it. That one, I think, was my number 1 hidden gem, and definitely if I had to pick one Rare game for the rest of my life, Grab by the Ghoulies would have to be it.
All right. So
speaking of which, okay, so we're done with I just have one little news tidbit that I have to include since this is Rare related. Since we talked about Killer Instinct, Microsoft made the announcement recently, Killer Instinct Season 3, which is basically just their update, that they're doing every, I think, twice a year, I think, to add things, add levels, characters, all types of features and whatnot to Killer Instinct. And they announced that they're including Rash from Battletoads as a playable character in Killer Instinct, which I think is fucking amazing. I think that Phil Spector, who's basically running the show for Xbox right now, this guy's not an idiot. Like, he really knows what the hell he's doing, and he's coming up with some really great ideas to pull Microsoft up by their bootstraps. And I think that he just acknowledges, Tyler, that people want to see them play their hits. It's like they're like an aging, iconic rock band going on like the 30th anniversary tour. Do you want to hear the new shit? No. You want to hear them play their hits. You want to hear them touch on the hallmarks that they're known for and just update it, for the new generation and for the older generation like us. Update it, improve it, bring out the next incarnation of it. That seems to be his approach to this. Is he's sticking to his guns and being like, we know what we've got. We've got a lot of good intellectual properties. Let's update these and bring them out. That's our core demographic. Let's put the rubber to the road on this. So bravo, Microsoft. I really think that 2016 is going to be Microsoft's year, man. They are shaping up, coming out guns blazing, and they definitely are gunning for Sony, man. I mean, they're really, the gloves are off right now, man, and they're taking this shit really seriously. So keep your eyes on Microsoft, man. They are definitely playing for keeps this time.
All right. Well, let's move on to movies and TV. And I believe it was last week you had actually kind of gave a plug for It Follows, or maybe it was the week before. But
I think it was the first episode. I think I did
was
that.
it? Okay. Well, I finally got to go and watch it. We went.
I can't wait to hear this.
Redbox. And
What'd you think?
At first, I was sitting there, I was watching it, and the very first scene just kind of made me like kind of iffy, like what in the hell is going on? I don't want to really say anything about it, but as it got into like the first couple of scenes of the movie, the suspense really just built up, and this is a movie that, like Jimbo said in one of our older episodes about it, it's not really gory at all. Yeah. But just like the creep factor and the suspense, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And I will say this, that it is probably one of the scariest movies I've seen in probably, I'd say, the last 5 or 10 years. Like, I have not seen, very much good as far as the creep factor in movies here, in the past several years. And I thought it was really good, and especially when I started doing some research on the movie to find out that it's kind of an independent film that was filmed on a pretty low budget in Detroit.
Very low budgets, yeah.
And, it shows what you can do, with scary movies still. Like, to me, it had a lot of a flavor of kind of like The Ring.
A little bit.
The Ring, had a lot of that suspense in it, but to me, in a lot of ways, it's better than The Ring was. So
a little bit more imaginative, I think, because they don't let the fact that they have like fucking $5, into the movie as far as the budget stop them. They get really creative with it and just work with what they've got. No very minimal CG, like very, very minimal. Like Tyler said, very little gore. I can only think of 1 or 2 scenes where they really turn it up at all. It's almost all atmosphere and mood. And it's just, for what it is, man. I mean, it was never even supposed to make a theater run. It was supposed to be straight to video on demand. And they put it out in theaters, and it did so well, money-wise. I mean, I think they made back their budget in a single weekend. And it delayed the VOD release of it, I think, 6 months.
Oh,
because
wow.
they're like, let's keep this in theaters, because it was just cranking. What was it, like 98% or something on Rotten Tomatoes? I think at the time it was the highest score that they've ever gotten for any horror movie.
Yeah.
So horror movies don't typically score very high. The critics always rip them apart. So if you haven't checked it out, guys, It Follows is just... It's so dirt simple of a movie, but it's got a freaking awesome ending. It's got an awesome opening. It's a really cool original plot that thinks outside the box and really fucks with your head. All the great horror movies make you afraid of something in everyday life. Psycho made you afraid of showers. Jaws made you afraid of the ocean. The Exorcist pretty much just made you afraid of everything. And this basically makes you afraid of strangers. I guess you could say, of just people you see on the street. It creeps you the fuck out. Just seeing somebody walk down the street, they make creepy, in the most awesomely imaginative way. So It Follows, guys. Check it out. Recommended, obviously, by Tyler and myself. Check it out.
And then the same night we rented Run All Night, which is a Liam Neeson action flick. And I was kind of skeptical. My girlfriend's like a really big fan of his. And his movies. We watched Walk Among the Tombstones lately, and it was just not that good, in my opinion. But
no,
to me, this is the best action flick I've seen him in since Taken. I mean, it's really good. Just kind of a classic like action revenge type thing. So
Mhm.
definitely check it out. It's kind of along the same lines of maybe John Wick. It's kind of like Liam Neeson versus like the mob. So he's like an ex hitman, and they're coming after his son. So basically, he has to take out the entire
That's
mob
like
that he
the
works for.
exact opposite of John Wick.
Well,
Because in
John
John
Wick,
Wick,
he was
it's
a hitman, but they actually killed his wife. So then he goes and takes him out. Well, this is
yeah, but then what I was saying is like then like in John Wick, it's him going after the mob guy's son, and in this, it's the
oh,
mob going
okay,
after
yeah,
his son. So it's like
right.
this kind of funky mirror image. That's awesome. I never thought of that.
So, but really, really cool movie. Definitely check that out. Just as like a little $1 or $2 rental from Redbox.
Awesome.
And last night I actually checked out Mission Impossible 5, and
How was it?
it was really good. It was. I don't want to spoil any of the plot for anybody that hadn't seen it. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No.
Okay. Well, to me,
How was
it is,
how was the underwater scene? That's what I want to know because I understand that most of that he did in one take.
yeah, and from what I was reading, he actually did for during one of the takes he held his breath for like 6 minutes underwater, which I didn't even know was possible. But
Holy
apparently
shit.
he was like training for like a long time, and a couple of the scenes he actually passed out doing the
Wow.
because I guess you can actually train your body not to breathe, not to want to take a breath. And it got to the point where it was like scaring the director. The director's like, "All right, we need to cut here because like I'm afraid you're going to drown, in the water." So the underwater scene was really cool. The plane taking off scene that everybody's saying where it actually is Tom Cruise like strapped
Yeah,
to the
it's
side of the
really
airplane.
him. 50
Um,
fucking years old and he's doing that shit.
Well, the dude has still got it, and one thing that you wonder with a lot of these movies is 5 movies into the entire series, are they going to be able to bring like a fresh take on it? And Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation has really, really brought like a fresh take to Mission Impossible franchise, and it was really good. I'm actually looking forward to more in the series, but this kind of is almost the same plot though as Spectre is going to be. It's kind of like a hidden spy agency or whatever, or kind of counter. They're like terrorism, but they're ex spies. So I mean, you see that much from the previews, but it's going to be interesting to see Spectre and see if Spectre is different or if it's kind of on the same lines as Mission Impossible 5. But that was really cool.
It's a good time for spy movies, apparently. I mean, we've got, Mission Impossible 5, we have The Man from U.N.C.L.E., we've got, Spectre coming out. I mean, like, the spy movie is kind of like, it's becoming its own, like, super genre. The big budget summer blockbuster kind of thing. And personally, I think that's awesome. I love me a good spy movie.
Yeah, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. looks really good. I'm excited to see that.
I'm digging it, man.
And
so what's next?
Well, the I guess the big news of the week. Well, we kind of have two big things of the week, and I'm gonna let you cover the last one. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, well, do I get to cover the good one or the bad one?
The good one. The good.
Okay,
one.
Sweet. I get to cover the good one. Okay.
Because I figured that's like the one you want to really sink your teeth into.
Yes. So excited.
But the big news of the week is how bad Fantastic Four is, and I personally haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it yet, Jimbo?
Not going to see it.
I don't think I am either. I'll probably watch it like when it comes on HBO, which will probably be in 2 months, seeing how bad it's doing. But
I was thinking more like next Tuesday, but
right.
We'll see.
I mean, this film is getting really deadpan by all the critics, and I'm glad to see it just strictly because they've went away from the source material again, and I don't know why Fox does this. Like Marvel has seen like, look, if we stay kind of close to the source material, we can make slight variations and bring like a little different take to it, but we want to kind of stick to the core of the story and character. Well, Fox is just like, playing jazz out there. We're going to make this character totally different. He's going to be, doing this. They're not going to get their superpowers this way. They're going to get it this way. And, apparently the movie never really starts. It sounds like it's long and boring. And a
Yeah.
lot of the previews I saw basically said that it's like a long trailer for a movie that never gets started. So,
Jesus Christ.
and I actually saw they brought the I guess the projections were like 40 million for the weekend, and they've actually brought it down to like 26 million. So
Ooh.
it's way underperforming what they have said.
Well, good.
And
maybe Fox will let go of the rights now and let it go back to Marvel. That's the only reason they're making these movies, is if they don't, it goes back to Marvel.
Right. And I mean, how long do you think Marvel, if the rights did go back to them, how long do you think they would have to wait before they could reboot it? Because,
5 years.
You think it...
At least.
Yeah.
Before people... I mean, because it's not like... If this was the first fuck up, I'd be like, 2-3 years maybe. But it's like the third.
Right.
I mean, they've gotten it wrong 3 freaking times in a row. And I've honestly long wondered, man, if the Fantastic Four you could ever actually do is a really good movie. Because it's kind of... It would take a lot of imagination. I mean, even if you stuck to the source material, you'd have to modify it a little bit because it's so fucking dated, man. I mean, it was Marvel just getting on their feet. It's not like the X-Men where you can adapt and everything. It's not like the Avengers where it's timeless. It's very 60s, man. I mean, and I can't say never. I'm sure the right guy behind the camera could turn this thing into something absolutely amazing. But the whole thing with, I mean, making Reed Richards some freaking 20-something-year-old punk, when he's supposed to basically be the smartest guy in the Marvel universe. That guy's not going to be 20 fucking years old. He's going to be like 30 or 40. Several PhDs in theoretical physics and crap. This kid's barely old enough to have completed college. So they keep messing with things, and then the whole Johnny Storm thing and Sue Storm, how they're from different ethnic backgrounds, where in the comics they're brother and sister and they're almost identical. Some people would argue his race doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take Stan Lee's approach on this. And this is from the guy who created all this shit, straight from the horse's mouth. He's against stuff like that. He's like, if you want to do something like that, if you want to make a black superhero, you want to make a gay superhero, anything like that, make a new fucking character. Like, don't mess with the original one. Make a new character. We don't need to make Thor a chick. We don't need to make Spider-Man not a geeky, awkward, totally weird suburban white dude. It's part of who they are. When you change that, you're changing part of the dynamic of the character. And if you want to do something where you've got a black superhero or something, great. Make a new fucking character. No one's stopping you. And
there are some great black superheroes out there.
Sure. There's tons of them.
There's plenty in the Marvel universe. But, I'm kind of the same lines he is. They were wanting to change Peter Parker. And,
it would take away from who he is.
Yeah. And, I like sticking to the source material. I guess just call me old fashioned. But
I'm with you on that.
I don't want to play jazz because we've seen what happens. Taking, for instance, the Fantastic Four movie. Bad things happen when movie studios and directors start playing jazz with movies and the stories. And I actually saw there was a lot of drama that Trank, the guy that directed it, was kind of blaming Fox for changing the movie, and
which I believe, by the way. I believe that.
I kind of wonder about it though, because he was kind of thrown off the Star Wars spinoff because they said he was acting erratic on set, and I wonder.
No, I'm sure that's true, but I'm talking about, like, Fox has a history of doing this crap.
Yeah.
Bryan Singer has complained about it with the X-Men movies, but he basically won that battle because he won the argument with the first X-Men movie. And it was such a huge hit. When it came around to the second one, he was like, look, you want me on board? I'm running the fucking show here. End of discussion.
Right.
So with Josh Trank, he's only done like 1 or 2 movies. He's a guy that they can push around, and the studio thinks that they know better. And it just begs the question with the director. It's like, if that's really how you feel, why the fuck did you hire me?
And I don't, a lot of people think he's like a godsend of a director.
No, overrated.
Chronicle to me was so overrated. I don't know who thought that movie was amazing, but
It was okay. I
I'm
mean,
not a fan of this. Like, you know, making a movie out of kids going around like holding up their cell phones, taking. Uh, you know, the only time that I thought that was really cool was Cloverfield, and it was just that
yes,
suspense of like what's going on. And
yes.
I wasn't a big fan of like the Blair Witch Project when it came out. You know, I know a lot of people loved that back in the day, but you know, you do it once or twice and it's kind of cool, but like there's a lot of those movies now that
There are.
are starting to do
It,
that, and it's just getting kind of old.
it's hard to do in original found footage movies these days because it's almost all been done already. There's a few exceptions, but it's really tough to do something new.
What was the scary movies that did that? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, yeah, and I know a lot of people were big on the first one of those, and yeah, it fooled so many people. So many people were like, that's real. That really
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, I'm like, no, it's you know contrived, but um, I don't know. I'm wasn't a fan of his in the first place, so I'm kind of glad they took the control of the Star Wars spinoff movie from him,
Fuck
because
yeah.
I mean, think if he'd have screwed that up, and we're you know getting force fed all of these Star Wars movies one every year now, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure it's quality because you know
Sure.
one of the good things with Star Wars is we kind of got rationed out over the years, you
Yeah.
know, a little bit here and there, but now we're gonna start seeing them every year. So I hope it's all quality, you know, and um, you know Disney's definitely done good things with Marvel, so you know if that you know makes me feel a lot better about it
Mhm.
because they've done so good with the Marvel universe. I'm hoping it's the same, you know, with Star Wars.
I think they've got the right people in place. You know, Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall are basically running Lucasfilm now, and they're seasoned producers, man. Like they both made a career working with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, so they know what the hell they're doing, man. Like it's in good hands. You know, these are the people producing the Indiana Jones movies and Star Wars and half of Spielberg's movies. They know what they're doing. It's in the right place, and you know, Disney, love them or hate them, they know how to make successful movies. They are pretty much better at that than probably anyone. I mean, they've got a track record with hits that will probably never even come close to be touched by another movie studio. They really know how to get the status quo to get asses in seats, you know, of all ages. So I think it's heading in a good direction. But as Tyler mentioned, so we were shitting on Fox there for a little bit, but we're actually gonna give Fox some praise here because while they totally fucked up the Fantastic Four, there's another thing that they have gotten really right, or at the very least, maybe they just got out of the way and let the star and the director do their thing. I'm probably thinking that's it. I'm probably thinking that the star basically said, like, look, I know how to do this right. Just let us do the fucking movie. You can shrink the budget, give us the R rating. We're going to make the good movie. And that would be one of the greatest trailers I have ever seen in my fucking life. Deadpool. It scratched every single itch I could ever ask them to scratch just in the goddamn trailer. And I first saw the green band and then I watched the red band. And I'm just like, all right, if I'm going to watch a Deadpool trailer, I want to see it uncensored. It had everything that I wanted. Like the voice that he does when he's, you know, inside the costume and everything is fucking perfect. I mean, it's like there is no one alive who could play Deadpool except Ryan Reynolds. He was born to play Deadpool. I mean, it's like if you took Wolverine and Van Wilder and put them together, you'd have Deadpool, which is what makes him awesome. Like he's literally playing a superhero that has the sensibilities of Van Wilder. And whenever I think Ryan Reynolds, I think Van Wilder. He's never going to outlive that role with me. And everything, including the fourth wall break. And I was getting really nervous up until the end of the trailer. I was like, oh, come on, I got to see one fourth wall break. And they throw it in. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. You know, because for those of you not in the know, Deadpool is the only comic book character in history who is completely aware that he's in a comic book. So if you've ever read a Deadpool comic book, he will address the reader. Much like in the game that came out for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. They nailed it with that. Like, they literally made the perfect comic book game because all the weird shit that's going on in Deadpool's head translates into the game. Like it's you never really know whether it's actually happening or whether it's just in his head. And it seems to be with this movie, they've effectively captured that. You know, they go, you get to see him before when he's got, you know, stage 3 cancer and everything, you know, even though he's laying there dying, you know, he's still joking, you know, oh, it's just my brain, you know, testicles, liver and lungs, you know, but I don't really need any of those. So it just, it's absolutely amazing to me, you know, that they're including this. Colossus looks freaking awesome. You know, it's cool to throw in one of the X-Men in there. I'm hoping they get a Russian guy, or at least a guy with a really convincing Russian accent to actually play him this time, because Colossus speaking American English just seems strange to me. That's never sat well. He's fucking Russian, for God's sake. So, the comment of, you know, you guys might wonder why I'm wearing a red costume. It's so bad guys can't keep me bleed. The guy in the brown pants has the right idea. I mean, that is something Deadpool would say. Like, seriously, that is like, they really did their homework with this, man. The director, I cannot recall this gentleman's name right now, but Ryan Reynolds apparently had a lot of input on this as far as the script and the direction stuff, and he's been the driving force for the past 7 years or so to get this movie made. You know, with the teaser trailer they put out, with him, you know, hitting, you know, freaking AC Slater with the chair, like, fuck you, Slater. You know, I mean, it's like, this, I think, is going to prove once and for all that you can make an R-rated comic book movie and have it be extremely successful. You know, I understand Blade, Marvel's first movie, really made a lot of money. I don't consider Blade a comic book movie. It is a movie based on a comic book character, but it's not a comic book movie in the way that the Avengers or Thor or Iron Man are. Those are very comic booky type of movies. The Blade character is in the comic book is nothing like he is in the movie. It's very, very different. Don't get me wrong. I love the Blade movies, but this is basically a direct adaptation of a comic book character. Like, they are taking the Sin City approach and just taking the comic book and putting it on the screen and not fucking with it. You know, that's the way it should be, because it's so crazy and vulgar and violent and obscene and everything like that. And it's such a refreshing take on the comic book franchise. You know, no ridiculous, like, I'm getting superpowers, blah, 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 cheesy shit. That's the kind of thing Deadpool makes fun of. He'll fourth wall break and be like, I'm going to get my superpowers now. You know, that's the kind of shit that we want to see. It's almost like he's the anti-comic book movie, but at the same time, the archetypal comic book movie. So obviously, guys, I could not be more excited to see this movie. Of any comic book movie coming out, excluding Superman versus Batman, I am so stoked to see this movie. I really am.
Me too, man. And the guy that's actually playing Colossus is actually a new, you touched on it, it's a new character. And the guy's name is Andre Tricato. So I don't know if he's Russian or not, but the guy's like 6'10" and a half. He's huge.
Whoa.
So I'm hoping that he at least has a good Russian accent that he puts on, or maybe he is Russian. I don't know.
It sounds Ukrainian, but the two accents are very similar. I just want him to just be like, what are you doing? You know, he's got that kind of macho Ivan Drago type of accent. You know, that's what I think of when I hear Colossus talk in my head. So awesome stuff. Ryan Reynolds, Fox, this is like the one thing you guys aren't screwing up. So get it right, guys.
The one little addition I have to TV on this episode is I finally went back and I'd watched the first episode of True Detective, and I think a lot of people were fooled by the first episode. It started out extremely slow, the first and really part of the second episode. And I know a lot of you were probably fans of the first season of True Detective, and you really need to give the second season a chance. Get into like the third or fourth episode. That's when it really starts picking up. Like, the last 3 episodes of that series have been amazing. So definitely check out True Detective. It's really found its legs this season, and Colin Farrell, Vince Vaughn, all of them have been great in this season. So I'm really enjoying that. That's a good TV show that people need to check out.
I have a question about it, since I have not gotten around. I loved the first season of True Detective. I blasted through it, I think, in a day and a half. I just could not fucking stop watching it. I mean, it's McConaughey and Woody are just top of their fucking game in that first season, man. Just, they deserved every accolade that they got, especially McConaughey, man. He's so good at playing like damaged people. And just One of the funniest things I've ever seen in television shows from an episode of that show, and I don't think they intended it to be funny, but I just want to see if any of you guys out there watching / listening actually found this funny. Please leave us a comment and let me know. I hope I'm not alone on this. So, do you remember that scene where Woody Harrelson's like having an affair in his relationship, and he runs into his mistress, I guess, at a bar, and she's with another dude. Then he goes over to her house later that night, drunk as fuck. You know, like the car like rumbles up there, running over a little girl's bike or something. And he goes up to the door, and it's like this really wide shot of him like banging on the door of her freaking apartment / condo, and somebody in the background is like shut up, and he just turns around with the utmost conviction and rage, just like fuck you, you know, with the fucking Texas drawl. You know, it's like, I don't know why, dude. I probably rewound that 100 times. I just found this so goddamn funny. It just his delivery. He was so sure of himself. Like, how dare this guy tell me to shut up? I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm drunk. Fuck you. So if any of you guys thought that was funny, please leave me a comment. I hope I'm not the only guy that caught that. But my question for you. So season 2, Vince Vaughn. I'm not a huge fan of Vince Vaughn in movies as of late because I think he's suffering basically from Owen Wilson syndrome. He plays the same fucking guy in the same fucking movie over and over again. The same with Adam Sandler. It's like they're just recycling their shit over and over again. Is Vince Vaughn actually not playing Vince Vaughn in this?
I'm with you. I've gotten tired of that, you know, kind of smart ass Vince Vaughn. And you will be happy to know that he does not play that character at all. Good. He plays basically like this badass guy that's kind of he used to be kind of low level mob guy, and at the I don't really want to ruin too much of the plot, but he basically has to get back into the mob. He's looking for some money that got stolen from him, and he becomes a badass. But it's not the smart ass Vince Vaughn that you've seen in all the movies, which, I mean, that's his bread and butter, and he's been hilarious in movies like Old School, Wedding Crashers, stuff like that. And, you know, that's where a lot of people have grown to love him. But it's definitely, and I think this is why he took this role, is because he had kind of gotten typecast as that one character. And, you know, this is kind of a fresh take on Vince Vaughn, and Colin Farrell's amazing in this season too. He's kind of damaged people in this one, so everybody's, you know, in the cast, they did it perfectly. And I love, like, every season we're getting kind of like a fresh story, so you don't get tired of, you know, different people. So I'm interested to see who they get for next year, but we've got a few more episodes in this season, so definitely y'all catch up and see what you've been missing out on. True Detective season 2.
I'm looking forward to that. That's awesome.
Did you see that they actually announced an X-Men TV show?
I had heard about that. That has been a long-standing Hollywood rumor that they've been, much like the Star Wars television show, the live action, that they've just been trying to crack this forever. And of all of the Marvel franchises, I've always thought that the X-Men would make the most interesting television show, because if you set it in the Xavier Mansion, which would be the obvious place to put it, you've got this constant revolving door of characters that they can go through, because there's so many fucking mutants, you know, going through the school, because it's a genetic anomaly, you know, basically, that's affecting the world population. So, you know, you could start out with Cyclops, Rogue, you know, Jean Grey, Storm, and stuff like that, the classic bunch, although they'll probably steer away from that. But, you know, then you could do Banshee. I mean, you know, you could do Dazzler. I mean, there's so many characters that you can pull, because it's such a diverse group. You know, the last time that they tried this was the Generation X movie, which I actually have on VHS tape. Oh God,
I vaguely remember that.
It's the top way to not do a superhero TV movie / pilot, which is basically what it was. Didn't get it right at all. So we'll see if they can pull this one off correctly. It's definitely in good hands, so we'll see. Because, I mean, good hands as far as, like, hopefully they've learned from their mistakes. To be fair, the recent run of X-Men movies have been pretty good. You know, X-Men Apocalypse looks awesome. I saw a clip recently of Olivia Munn training with her, doing her fight coordination stuff with one of her trainers. She plays Psylocke in the movie. Perfect casting, by the way. I didn't even think of that, but God, she's like born to play fucking Psylocke. And she's going through her kicks and stuff, and I was actually really impressed. Like, they've really got her fucking trained to do her fight scenes and crap. It was really impressive, actually.
Maybe this can be her true claim to nerd culture. You know how she kind
I
of
think so.
She latched on to nerd culture back when she was doing Attack of the Show, and kind of had claimed back then to be a video gamer and all that. And I don't think she'd ever picked up a controller to any video games.
Probably not.
But she's definitely come a long ways from Attack of the Show back in the day.
Oh yeah, so she's like winning awards and stuff for the newsroom and all this other all these roles that she's getting put in. She's definitely on the up and up, man. She's one you want to keep your eye on.
Well, what do you have as far as in news? Do you have any stories you want to talk about this week?
I just have one. Not really a story, more of a question to why, since we were kind of sweating Microsoft earlier, at least I was, and this is definitely one that I need to scratch my head at. So they announced Halo Wars 2, and my question would be, why? The first one was one of the biggest bombs, probably the only bomb in the Halo franchise where they really, really dropped the ball. And it just, even by real-time strategy standards, like even the RTS hardcore guys didn't like it. Just not a terrible game, but it did not live up to the Halo name, not in my opinion.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I love that game. And I'm one of the big-time hardcore RTS guys. RTS games, definitely on a console, it's not the best, setup, but that game really sat on my shelf for a long time, and I played it for like the first time, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, and I loved the campaign. It had just some like really cool missions, like different setups on what type of missions, like what your objectives were, and honestly, I loved it. I don't, I'm excited for this. I didn't know about it until you had, wrote that your news story for today to talk about. But I'm excited about it. I'm gonna definitely look it up, and I'm gonna pre-order that.
Somebody is.
They made that for me, Jimbo.
Hey, if it's just for you, buddy, then have at it. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's kind of like a hidden gem in the Halo universe. The one that I'd say I didn't like in the Halo universe would be ODST. That was one.
Yeah, that one's hot cold. Like, people either love it or they hate it.
But you're right. Halo Wars did bomb. But I mean, if you remember when that came out, like how good that looked for an RTS on a system. I mean, it looked amazing, and the special powers and stuff that you were able to do, call in like a orbital blast and stuff. I mean, it was really cool for an RTS. Now, definitely RTS has to be your cup of tea, so if you're not into those games, you're for sure not going to like it. But if you like that and you're into the Halo universe, definitely check that out.
ODST, to be fair, there was one thing I think that saved that game, is it introduced firefight mode, which is basically Halo Horde. And I didn't really care for the campaign in ODST much, but firefight mode I fucking loved, because that was right after Gears of War came out with Horde mode, and this was like Bungie's response to it. They did their version of it. I thought it was a blast. I really was. I love Horde modes in any type of game, man. That's one of my absolute pleasures when it comes to console shit.
All right, now I saw in this week in another story, Valve actually offered refunds to everybody who bought this game called Journey of Light, and supposedly this game was like billed as one of the hardest games on Steam, and so hard that like nobody had gotten past the very first level in it.
Wow.
Well, somebody like did some digging into the actual code of the game, and they actually realized that there were no levels after the first level.
Oh my god.
And it was supposed to be like 7 levels long or 6 levels long, and there's actually no way to beat the entire first level. So
That's some shady shit right
yeah,
there.
yeah. So a lot of people weren't too happy when they found that out, and very uncommon for Valve to actually do this. But they
Mm,
kind of offered like unconditional refunds, like, you know, if you bought it, no matter how long you've owned it or played it or whatever,
mhm,
just, follow this link and we'll refund your money. And the guy that actually made the game said that he had updated some bugs or something, and for
mhm.
some reason it took the other levels out. So
Oh yeah, right. Jesus, what a crock. Like,
yeah,
first of all,
so
anyone who knows anything about programming knows that that's bullshit. That's not the way it works. If you're fucking your entire game up by updating for bugs, then A, you shouldn't be programming, and B, you should not be game designing because you obviously do not know what the hell you're doing.
which I mean, in his, just to give him one positive, that's a pretty cool idea for a game to make it so hard, that you've only need like 7 levels. But I mean, you've got to make it where it's actually beatable. You
Yeah.
can't pull
It
that
needs to
cop
be
out,
playable, man. I mean,
right?
like Ninja Gaiden, the original one, hard as fuck. Pretty much any game in the Ninja Gaiden series, notoriously hard. They build them that way. But are they beatable? Yeah. It just takes some perseverance. You can't ostracize your audience by just making it so infuriatingly hard that the reward of beating it doesn't come close to outweighing their level of frustration. There
Right.
has to be some kind of balance. So, I'm all for things being NES hard, but it doesn't need to go beyond that. Just my 2 cents. So, what else is new, my man?
Well, I saw in other news that somebody actually like beat the entire game of Fallout 3 as a baby. At the
How
beginning
is
of the
that even possible?
well, at the beginning of the game, there's a part where you're actually a child, kind of
Yeah, you're
crawling
running around
around or
as a
whatever.
toddler. Yeah.
Well, apparently they found a way to like get out of that area,
Okay.
and they went through the entire game as the kid.
How does that work, though? I mean,
I
like, you
don't
would
know.
think all that shit wouldn't load until you go
Right.
through the cutscene and all that other stuff. Like, is that
I don't know if it took some like work on it,
modding or
yeah,
something?
modding, but apparently they were able to do it. It sounded like they just got out of that area, that it didn't take any modding, but I could be wrong on that. But I thought that was pretty funny, and probably it was very tedious to go
Oh,
through.
I'm sure it was. That's incredible. Like the things that I mean, Fallout 3, not even close to a new game. This is old as shit, and people are still discovering things.
I I
That's
I
loopholes.
take my hat off to people who do shit like that, because
Yeah.
I would never in a million years spend any amount of time trying to find out stuff like that. Like I just want to play the normal game. I don't want to play it as a baby or as whatever else, because I've seen some just random shit people do in games to just say, oh,
Yeah.
I went through the game without using a gun, just slapping people. But
GoldenEye style.
right, karate chopping.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
in other news, I saw that the Oculus Rift actually made the cover of Time magazine.
I saw that.
So, I still don't know what to think of the Oculus Rift, because it's still basically, in I mean, they've got it where you can, I guess, buy it, but there's no
Mhm.
games to really
No,
buy
it's like
for it.
they've had it for years, and there's nothing. They aren't coming out with like the must-haves, man. They aren't coming out with the shit that sells the platform.
Right. So I don't know, what they're waiting on. Like, how about y'all? I mean, didn't Facebook buy that for a couple $billion?
Something like that. It was a lot.
I mean, they've got the money. Like, start developing games for it, or having developers port games, into virtual reality, or 3D, where
I
people
agree.
can actually play them. I don't understand what the holdup is on that.
I
But,
don't either. I don't know why people aren't building games for it, because all the people that have these have the dev kit.
right.
So any Tom, Dick, and Harry man can go out and build an Oculus Rift game if they've got a good degree of technical skill and game development experience. So I'm hoping some indie guy comes up with like the crucial game that makes everyone go out and buy this, so we can get this technology going. But as far as why is this significant, I mean, it's a game thing making the cover of Time. Like, has that ever even happened before?
I don't know. Well, maybe Xbox did
Maybe.
when they initially came out with the original Xbox. I think maybe Bill Gates was on the cover with that, but I'm sure it probably has a couple other times. But that's pretty cool. I don't know if this virtual reality is going to take hold or if it's a fad, because we've seen this pop up several times in the movie industry. Where it'll go through fads of movies in 3D. Of course, we had the ancient form of 3D, which was the red and blue glasses that gave everybody migraines, and now. I'm not a fan of the current version of 3D in a lot of movies. They're not actually filmed in 3D. It's that pop-up book, effect where, your figures are closer in the picture, and then there's the background. And I'm not a fan of that. And I thought, of course, there's been a few movies that did it justice, like Avatar. Avatar was badass in 3D. I mean, that was definitely the way to see it, and it was filmed to be in 3D. But I don't like this adaptation where it's like, we're just going to add these 3D effects just so we can charge more in ticket prices, and that's what a lot of it is you can charge more for 3D ticket prices. But I wonder if we're going to see that in the game industry, because maybe. We've seen 3D before in video games, Virtual Boy, if you'd call that true 3D or not, but
technically it's stereoscopic, so and now we've got the 3DS, which is really cool, and I think that's good technology. But will this new generation of virtual reality, where you actually have the goggles like with the Oculus Rift, or is it going to be like the Microsoft version? The HoloLens.
Right. So, if it's going to be that augmented reality where you're actually seeing what you're seeing in the room, and it just overlays over whatever you're seeing. And that could be cool too, but I'm just interested to see if it actually can come out and there's enough games to support it, because a lot of times when they come out with these new technologies, there might be one game for it, but you don't have, enough to really sell the entire system. And, a lot of people are saying that's what Nintendo's doing with the NX. So I'm just interested to see if that's what the NX is going to be primarily, or if it's going to do both or what. And, if it takes hold, because supposedly Sony's doing a 3D version too. They're having some sort of 3D goggles manufactured now. So we'll see.
I think there's a place for both, honestly. I think as far as, total immersion, 3D, kind of virtual reality thing, I think there's a place for that. But I also think the HoloLens is something that can exist, not necessarily to compete with something like the Oculus Rift, but just to kind of complement it, I guess, because the HoloLens isn't specifically for games. Can it be adapted for games? Yes, but I think the HoloLens is ultimately going to change media inside your home, meaning eventually replace your television, no more cable box, anything like that. You basically just look through these glasses and there it is on your wall. I guess it could be adapted to make games interesting. Like you could do like a Paranormal Activity thing like inside your house with this kind of thing, which could be really cool. That could be a really cool experience. But at the same time, there are limitations to it. Like, when you think of a game, like a real immersive game like a Halo or Gears of War or something like that, you need something like the Oculus Rift, because you're taking yourself out of your space. You're going to an alien planet and things like that, and you need something that can simulate the entire world. So I think both technologies have a very good chance. It's all going to come down to titles and software. There's going to have to be this 1, 2, 3, killer app, killer game, whatever, that basically sells the platform. So if handled correctly, I think it's a fucking awesome time to be a gamer right now, man. It's never been this amazing. We, as I've said many times, man, we won. We're status quo now, guys. Like we're the focal point of pop culture now.
Well, and that's basically what all has been happening this week in the news. So I don't have any other news stories to talk about this week.
I don't either. Did we get any reader questions this week? Because I didn't get any.
No, we didn't, guys. And definitely leave us some questions on the YouTube channels. My channel is Metroid's Primed, and Jimbo's is the Jimbo channel. And we both put up the videos of the podcast every week. So if you're listening on iTunes or from some other podcast app, definitely check us out on YouTube and leave us questions in the comment section of our videos, and we'll definitely answer it the next week. So we definitely want to hear from you and see what you guys want to know from us and what we can answer for you.
That's one of the main reasons that we're doing this.
Right.
So,
but I guess that's it for this week. Do you have a Laserdisc of the week this week, or are we going
to?
Okay. Well,
no, I don't have a Laserdisc, but I do have something.
All right.
Since I'm sure you guys can tell, I'm not in the Retro Game Lounge right now. I'm in my office catch-all. I apologize for the mess back there. This is just, every game collector has a room like this. This is where the overflow goes. So I don't have a Laserdisc pickup, but I do have a super cool retro pickup that my parents actually found in an antique store for me. This is Mantisaur from the Masters of the Universe Horde collection. This was one of Hordak's kind of vehicles, I guess. He's got a little gun and shit on the back. I never owned this as a kid, and I've kind of revitalized my love of collecting these figures. I was probably the biggest He-Man fan in the entire universe when I was 5 years old. I had almost every single original He-Man action figure. I mean, I had buckets of these damn things. Like, I probably regret getting rid of those more than I do my original NES games. Because the value of those things now is just unbelievable.
Did you have Castle Grayskull and the what was the?
Funny you
okay.
Snake Mountain. It's funny you should mention that. I don't have this here to show you guys, but they also found me Castle Grayskull.
Nice.
And it's almost all complete. Like, it's missing a couple of the decals, but all the bits and pieces and stuff, and it's in terrific shape. And I'm not gonna lie, dude. I got out some old He-Man figures, fucking put that shit together. I was 5 years old again, just like that. I did have Snake Mountain as well. I remember that was the first thing I ever bought at a yard sale. I got it for $5.
Nice.
At a yard sale when I was 6 or 7, something like that. So yeah, man, I had
Didn't that have a
battles
microphone
going on
or something?
That was Planet Eternia.
Okay.
Which was, with the exception of the USS Flag, the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, which is the largest playset ever built. That was 6 or 7 feet long, something like that. With the exception of that, this was the largest playset out there. I think at the time it came out, it was over $100.
Oh, wow.
And back then, that was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be like something like a Ninja Turtles thing these days costing $200 or $300. It was just unbelievable. It had like a monorail track that went around it and stuff, and you did have a microphone that you could speak through and everything. It was just incredibly intricate and elaborate. Never knew any kids who had it. Always wanted to play with it, man. If I found one, oh my God. Like, I'm not going to be at work for a week. I'm going to be at home playing.
I remember playing with my brother's Castle Grayskull when I was a kid. It was a little bit before my time. When I was coming up, it was more Ninja Turtles. And I was kind of caught the tail end of Transformers. But I remember playing with Castle Grayskull. And if I remember correctly, couldn't you put his sword in like a rock or something and turn it, and it actually would let the drawbridge down? Did I remember correctly on that?
I think so, actually. Yeah, there's a little mechanism inside that will let the drawbridge down.
Yeah, and I think it's his sword that goes inside.
That would make sense.
But yeah, my brother had all of those action figures. He loved Masters of the Universe.
You should tell your brother then about this awesome site I like to frequent called MattyCollector.com. It's Mattel's collector site, and they still make all this He-Man stuff. They have a very huge following of this, where they have a club, I think, where you can pay, I think it's $25 every 2 months or something, and send you an exclusive figure that's only available through the club. Like, it's an annual membership kind of thing. They have special deals through the site, special versions of figures and everything. And one of the things that they put out recently, I really regret not jumping on this. They re-released Castle Grayskull. In a set, in the box. They modified it a little bit, so they made it a little bit more detailed and stuff and changed the molds. So the skull face on the front and everything was a lot more intricate. And I think they were going for $300 a piece.
Ouch.
And they were sold out in less than a week.
Yeah, toy collectors are pretty vicious. Oh,
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I haven't got into toy collecting, full on. Like, my toy collection, basically, I have all the original Ninja Turtles. I have about 12 of basically the whole first wave. I have all in box sealed. and that's pretty much for action figures, just because I don't have the room for them. But you know, I definitely would love to get into Transformers collecting. I know that's really expensive to even delve into that, but
Oh yeah.
man, I would love to have like Optimus Prime again,
Oh, buddy, that's gonna cost you.
Megatron, and I've got a buddy that actually offered. He had he had an Optimus Prime in the box. This is like back in high school. He offered to me, but and I kept asking him about it, but he never would get up in the attic and get it, you know, out. So he was more into like Star Wars action figures and stuff. But man, like Transformers, that was my shit back in the day. That and Voltron.
Those two kind of go hand in hand. I don't think I know anyone who was into one who wasn't into the other.
Right.
So, but yeah, MattyCollector.com, all you Master of the Universe fans, check it out. It's Mattel's keeping that fire burning, man.
And if you're a big action figure collector, I'll throw this website in because I like to keep my stuff protected pretty well. But there's a really cool website if you collect in the box stuff called Zolo World.
Oh, I know that one. And
they actually make cool protective cases for your action figures, where you can actually, they have hangers built on them where you can hang them on your wall, and it actually keeps the boxes and the bubble, you know, protected on your action figures. And they make them specifically for, you know, certain action figures. So if you have like Ninja Turtles, they make a, you know, specific one for that. That specific ones for like Masters of the Universe and all that. So check out that site too. It's soloworld.com.
For sure.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for this podcast number 4.
I think it is.
And I hope
you all have enjoyed it. To everyone out there who watches our shit and leaves us comments and supports us, man, we really appreciate it. We know there's pretty stiff competition in the podcast world, since anyone can do one, and there's a bajillion gaming podcasts. But for everyone who takes the time to listen to our podcast and everyone who enjoys them, we enjoy doing them. You know, so by all means, keep listening, man. You guys keep listening. We'll keep cranking them out.
All right, guys. We will see you all next week for another episode.
You got it, man. Adios, Tyler.
All right, later.